So here we've got our 1987 Lincoln Memorial Cent. There's a little bit of an overview. After 1982, all of the coins are going to be primarily zinc, so there's not as much copper value, which some people wonder about on some of the earlier Lincoln Memorial pennies. You can check this out, this slide, pause it if you'd like for some general info on the big varieties, a little bit of extra history, but I'm going to just get into the start where we'll talk about the conditional rarities. So it's pretty rare that you're going to find something that's valuable just because it's in super nice condition. Mint State 68 is an extremely challenging grade to obtain. You find a lot of 1987 Lincoln cents that are really nice, but often sort of the cutoff is going to be 67 for a lot of coins. In this case, it's got to be 68 with a good shot of doing better than that, because if you get a 67, you've already lost money. Over 3 billion were produced, and it's relatively recent. They were struck pretty well, so there's plenty of really gorgeous red examples, and it would have to go to PCGS to get this type of valuation. Mint State 69, though, if you have a good eye for it, $4,500, maybe you could develop your eye and try to get good at grading moderns. It's sort of a tricky game. I don't really recommend it. This one, though, is going to be our first double die obverse, and we have a few varieties to check out today. There's a little bit of, it's almost like a split, but I think it's more just extra thickness along the trust, in the RUS especially, and then here you can see on the outside of that 9 and a little bit of distortion in the bottom of the 8. These are ungraded values, 10, 15 bucks for Mint State 65 red, 3 or 4 in AU, but something to be on the search for people who like hunting it. It's not worth really grading this stuff, but there's a slight extra thickness again down here in the bottom of the 8 on the side of the 9, and this is recognized by Kaneka as well as Copper Coins, which is sort of the probably most in-depth, along with Wexler penny guide, but I would say Copper Coins even has a little bit more in-depth. And then you also have a third double die obverse where it's really going to be that distortion again, sort of in like the southeast or south part of that 8, a little bit along the outside of the 9 as well, with solid values for what it is. I think there's also a little bit of a nicer coin here that the value seemed lower on in terms of what I could find. There's more of a notch in the bottom of the R. In the 9, you can see there's a little bit of separation and then stronger extra thickness to the bottom. So I think that's a nice one to be on the lookout for. And then there's also a double die reverse. Now, it's not these sort of little breaks, or I don't know if that is like a clash die or something like that, but it's going to be these extra 2 knees down here. Regardless, those are like at least some die markers, so something that you should be checking your change for. This one moderate to low value, but I think it's sort of fun if you just take a quick look at what you get back. You never know, and you want to be able to maximize the value on the 1987 pennies, the most expensive of which are going to be the errors. Right here we see one that's struck on an already struck Roosevelt dime. You can see FDR's head, it was sort of rotated. However, the dime got there. I'm not sure. It was more of a common error sort of in the 70s and 80s, especially in the 80s. And this one sold for a nice bit of change. The fold-over strike, the hypothesis is that actually the planchet has not been struck yet, is probably spinning upright in the striking chamber, and then when the dies come down and hit it, they fold the metal over, and they're always expensive, 630 bucks. You can see the zinc come underneath as the planchet gets way distorted in the process of striking it, and you can see how it sort of folds up. It has on each of these edges just a really nice and very rare type of error. And then we also have a really attractive obverse cud die break. So die breaks often also happen on sort of the top or the bottom. In this case, it's on the side, and the dies that are used to strike the coins sometimes wear down. So a little bit will chip off or it'll crack. That's called a die crack. In this case, it's a die break when this much of it just totally falls off. And then on the back, as the metal flows and into the break, the reverse side lettering doesn't take quite as well. So this one sold for 100 bucks a while ago, would sell for more today just because it's in really nice condition and it's been a hot area of collecting recently. So that's what we've got on the 1987 penny. Hope that this was helpful, and let me know if you've been finding any of these in the comments. Always great to hear some stories. Thanks for watching the video.